What's up, guys? Tail Twins back at you with another video. This video, we are going to be predicting the 53-man roster for the 2018 Pittsburgh Steelers regular season.
Absolutely, man. And this is something that we've been working on for about 2 weeks now. And it's something that we put a lot of thought into. Some of these might surprise you, specifically at the quarterback position, which we'll just get right into now. And we'll go from quarterback all the way down to the offensive positions, going into the defense and everything. So,
of course.
Quarterbacks. Obviously, Ben Roethlisberger. Mason Rudolph. I mean, why would you get rid of him? He's a third-round pick. You're breeding him to be the future.
Of course. And Joshua Dobbs. We select Joshua Dobbs. And we have also selected Landry Jones to also make the team.
Yes, we select both Dobbs and Jones. Now, I just read that Tomlin did confirm that Dobbs will be starting the fourth preseason game against the Panthers this Thursday. Discuss that how you will. It could mean that the Steelers are, because the Steelers have started Dobbs more than Landry, and they're playing him more than Landry.
Right.
Now, that could be because they want to see more from Dobbs, and they're thinking about keeping him as the backup, or maybe they're just playing him more so we can, to increase his trade value. But who really knows?
Right, and this is a make or break game for Joshua Dobbs. However he performs, nonetheless, I think the Steelers are going to keep Joshua Dobbs around because he's so damn talented.
Absolutely, and I think they should because, look at Dobbs. Look what he's done the entire preseason.
Exactly.
He's done phenomenal. He's done very good, and he's just a year in. So imagine if he gets more development.
Yeah, and you know how the Steelers have been with Landry Jones. They've always stuck with him all these years since we drafted him back in the 4th round, was it?
Or something like that. And he was drafted to be a long-term backup, and the Steelers are just are still very high on him. So are they gonna want to get rid of him now?
Exactly. And it makes sense because he does have communication with this offense and this whole entire team.
Right. He has experience with the team, the players, the coaching staff, the playbook, all together, everything. And it makes sense. It's really almost inevitable that Jones will make the roster, but who really knows at this point?
Right.
But at the same time, I think the Steelers might be forced to keep all 4 quarterbacks because they are too high on Jones, and we're not big on Jones, but and we don't think he's a good backup. But the Steelers are high on him, and of course, because of his experience, they're obviously going to want to keep that. Maybe, but who really knows?
And Dobbs, like I said, he's a talented guy. I don't think the Steelers are going to want to get rid of him at all.
Exactly.
And I don't think they even want to risk putting him on the practice squad.
Exactly, and I'm going to go with the what's the term? I'm going to go with the I can't think of the term right now. I'm having a total brain fart.
Safe way to make sure that all our quarterbacks are on the team.
Yeah,
Is that way you're trying to get?
I'm gonna go with the. I'm having a complete brain fart right now. I'm gonna go with. What I'm trying to say is I think that the Steelers are playing Dobbs more to breed him to be either the long-term backup or the future, or the battle with Rudolph for the future.
Either way, that's what I think as well.
Which either way you can't go wrong. And the thing is, Dobbs, he's still young, and he redshirted his entire year. They had the opportunity to play him last year against Cleveland Browns back in Week 17, and they didn't. So that speaks volumes to me. And the fact that he redshirted his entire year, he has a year under his belt. He's learned the playbook, and the fact that he's still young and the Steelers are playing him more. In my honest opinion, I'm taking that as a way that they're going to breed him to be the long-term backup or a competitor for the starting role when Ben retires.
Right, exactly.
That's what I'm thinking. Or, they could trade him, but who really knows at this point? But I think
exactly. A trade could very well possibly happen with Joshua Dobbs or Landry Jones possibly being traded to another team, but we don't know yet. We have to wait and see what happens leading into the regular season.
Exactly. And we're hearing talks, or we're hearing reports that there are talks that, or that we've had talks with other teams about trading one of our quarterbacks. But like we said, the Steelers might be forced to keep all 4. And it's not out of the realm of possibility because they're still high on Jones, and I'm gonna go with the way that they're using Dobbs to breed him for long-term backup or whatever. I don't know, but I don't think they should get rid of Dobbs, especially with what he's done this entire preseason. Do you want to get rid of something that young and someone that's just gonna get better with development?
Exactly.
Him as a third guy, he's just gonna get better.
Yeah, exactly. If we get rid of him, it's too much of a risk.
Exactly, and Rudolph sitting behind all those guys, that's just gonna benefit him as well.
Exactly, because he's gonna want to groove. He's gonna groove, if that's even a word. He's gonna grow and get better and get more comfortable with the whole team, the offense.
Exactly, he's gonna groom under him, and when Ben retires,
groom. That's what I was trying to figure out. Not groom.
Yeah. He can groom under all those guys, and when Ben retires, obviously Jones is not the future, thankfully. But you have Dobbs and Rudolph that can compete, which will make both quarterbacks better just based on the competition factor.
Exactly, but that's the quarterback position that we have selected. All 4 quarterbacks are on the Steelers team right now make the 53-man roster.
Yeah, they just might be forced to. Now, I wouldn't mind it. You know, if I had to go, if it was my decision, I'd go with Dobbs specifically because he's young. But at the same time, he only has a year under his belt.
You gotta have that experience at the quarterback position when it comes to the backup position.
Right, and you're not gonna have Rudolph as a number 2 because they're obviously grooming him to be the successor, and you don't want to push him to the backup role immediately, the primary backup role.
Exactly.
And Dobbs, he only has a year under his belt. He's still too young. So do you want to force him into a position that early? And with someone like Landry Jones, who's familiar with that position.
Right, exactly. And we did say we were going to make a Landry Jones or Joshua Dobbs video. Well, basically, this is kind of it. We have selected both to be on the team.
Yes. Now, like we said, you know, if it was our decision, we go with Dobbs. But I think the best bet is just to keep them all on the roster.
I think you're just going the safe route.
Right, and I think it's just beneficial for both Dobbs and Rudolph at this point. You don't want to force them into a position that they're either not ready yet or that they're not capable of.
Right.
So.
Exactly.
Running backs, obviously Le'Veon Bell, if he signs the tag, which obviously he is, because he's not going to turn down the $14.5 million. So Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, and this might surprise some of you, Jalen Samuels. Yes, we think that Fitzgerald Toussaint and Stephen Ridley will be cut. And speaking of Fitzgerald Toussaint, you know, he's been performing very good this preseason, but
not gonna lie, he's been performing pretty well.
Right, and he could be the third running back, or the third string running back.
But the way that Jalen Samuels has been performing all preseason, you know, he's really shown off his versatility, his big potential with this team.
Exactly.
In the running game and receiving game, especially receiving game.
Exactly. And Fitzgerald Toussaint, really, the only chance he had to make the roster was as a return specialist, and we've seen that experiment the past few years, and it's done nothing for us. And that's why we traded for Ryan Switzer, which we love to trade, by the way.
Absolutely. Ryan Switzer, we traded with the Oakland Raiders to acquire him. I think we got their 6th and we traded our 5th.
Yeah.
I think that's what we did to acquire Switzer.
So,
like we said, we absolutely love it. He may not be the biggest and tallest guy, but don't let that fool you. The guy can play on the football field.
Exactly. He definitely can. And we were extremely high on him coming out of North Carolina, and we wanted us to grab him.
Exactly. And I personally think he is like a Danny Amendola 2.0. Maybe another Julian Edelman, but I think that's a little too far of a reach. Right now, Danny Amendola, he's loaded with talent for a guy of his caliber. Talent as a football player.
Right, and I want to give a huge shout out to Steel Jedi because this is something that Bob and I and Jedi did talk about after the trade was made official, and we agree. This guy has the potential to be another Danny Amendola, if not better, if not faster.
Exactly, and it's smart because it fills the depth at wide receiver because our depth at wide receiver isn't too strong.
Exactly.
And having a guy like Ryan Switzer, who's a very handy and good wide receiver and a great return specialist, it's fantastic.
Exactly.
It's smart.
And it fixes 2 holes that really is needed for this offense because obviously AB is not going to be back there no more with Ryan Switzer, and he has proven to be a very effective return specialist. He did that last year with Dallas. I believe he got, I think one of them was the 83-yard punt return touchdown against the Redskins, which was very impressive.
Right, exactly.
So he has experience, and he has shown he is very effective at that role. So that takes AB out of there.
And obviously that's been a big weakening point for this team.
Right.
Return specialists.
And exactly. And like we said, we've seen the experiment with Fitzgerald Toussaint the past few years. That hasn't worked out. Eli Rogers is injured. He'll probably be on the PUP list for probably.
And he's suspended.
Right.
He's suspended for the first game.
Right. So and that probably won't matter either way because he'll probably still be on the PUP list for at least half of the season, maybe. Who really knows? So and that's another reason why we traded for Switzer was because we need depth at wide receiver. He'll be a good number 4, and with his route running ability and his strong hands, he could be a nice slot number 4 guy.
Absolutely.
So and him as a return specialist, like we said, takes AB out there, and you can have Jalen Samuels sit opposite of Ryan Switzer at kick returner.
Yeah, potentially because, like I said, he's a versatile guy. You put him at any position, he'll go.
Yeah, he'll produce.
He'll do what he can.
Exactly, he'll produce because that's how talented he is. So. But, I think Jalen Samuels makes it, and with the addition of Ryan Switzer, I think Fitzgerald Toussaint stays numbered. And Stephen Ridley, we'll get into Stephen Ridley later because we have a bonus after we talk about all the 53-man roster.
Right, so. And of course, Roosevelt next will be our fullback.
Of course, so. Wide receivers, Antonio Brown, obviously. Juju Smith-Schuster, obviously. James Washington, obviously. Ryan Switzer, obviously. Darius Haywood-Bay, I want to say obviously specifically because of his contributions at special teams.
Right.
And Justin Hunter. Now, I would love to see Damon Patterson make the roster, but
but Tomlin loves Hunter too much.
Yeah, and I just don't see him because one, Patterson is he's a rookie, he's an undrafted free agent.
Right.
So, and he has the potential to be a great number 4, number 5 guy. He has the potential to absolutely beat out Justin Hunter. But because of Hunter's experience and the play that he made,
and his size,
right, and his speed that he has, and the potential deep threat ability he has, and just the depth that he brings to the wide receiver position, it's hard for Patterson to beat him out.
Right.
Along with Marcus Tucker as well. So, and we'll get into those guys later as well. But I think Justin Hunter makes it, and he'll be a good depth guy. But who knows? Maybe Justin Hunter eventually gets traded or released when Eli Roger gets activated from the PUP list.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't see us getting rid of Davis Edward Bay at all because of his contributions to special teams.
Right.
And Justin Hunter, he's nothing but a depth guy at this point. So.
But like I said, Tomlin likes him too much. His size, his speed, his decent catching abilities. Hunter's not a bad receiver, but he's just too damn inconsistent.
Exactly, and then that's why he's the good depth guy.
Yeah.
That's really it. So
that's the wide receivers. Tight ends, Vance McDonald, of course, Jesse James, and Xavier Grimm.
Yeah, this is pretty obvious and expected. This is the same group of tight ends we had last year, so nothing new here. But
I could potentially see Bucky Hodges making a team, but I think he needs to be on the practice squad for a good year or two, so we can be more comfortable with this team.
Right, and the dude has so much talent. Maybe next year, depending on the production we have at the tight end position, maybe he gets the opportunity that he didn't really get this preseason, because we want to see him more as a receiver, but he's been good as a blocker, and he's shown some plays as a blocker.
He has.
But because of his size and speed and his vertical threat ability, we want to see him at tight end. But he might get that this Thursday against the Panthers, but that's not. I don't think that'll be enough to surpass any of these 3 guys.
It very well could, but it's up to the Steelers.
Exactly. So, but yeah, Vance McDonald, Jesse James, and Xavier Grimble, pretty obvious, pretty expected. So, offensive linemen, obviously starters Alejandro Villanueva, Ramon Foster, Marquise Pouncey, David DeCastro, and Marcus Gilbert. Backups, obviously, B.J. Finney. He'll be the backup left guard and center. Chuck Womack-Okorafor, he'll be the backup left tackle and right tackle. And Matt Filer.
I think it's Filer who'll be the backup for DeCastro and Foster as well.
Right. So you have B.J. Finney, who's a very versatile guy, as long as Chuck's Okorafor. So they can definitely take the load at backing up two positions. So.
Right. Exactly.
Defensive line, obviously starters Cam Hayward, Stephon Stewart, and Javon Hargrave. Backups are L.T. Walton, Tyson Alualu, and Dan McCullers. I would like to see Joshua Frazier make the roster, but I think he'll make this the practice squad for now. And Dan McCullers, he's actually showing the best that he has ever done with this team. Yeah,
really. So. And this is really his last year to prove himself if he truly does belong to stay with this team.
Exactly.
So this is really, again, a make or break here. Even if he's a starter or not, he's got to produce somehow, especially with Hargrave. Hargrave can't, do all the snaps at defensive tackle by himself.
Right.
It's too much for him.
Exactly. And Dan McCullers, like we said, he's actually progressing a lot, and he's looked the most impressive that he ever has. So we might be able to see some rotations between him and the Hargrave, maybe. Who knows? But
right, I want to see McCullers progress, but
right, because he's a big boy, man. He's a great run stuffer. So, and that's something that we could use. And maybe if he progresses enough, we could use him in rotations.
Right, exactly.
We'll see what happens. But he's going to be the primary backup for the defensive tackle. So, outside linebackers, T.J. Watt, Bud Dupree, obviously, Anthony Chickillo, Olasukami Adeni. Yes, he makes it, and he is absolutely deserving to make it.
Absolutely. Every preseason game he's been balling out.
Absolutely. He's just showing signs of being James Harrison 2.0.
He really is.
I mean, just look at him. Ironically, he has the same number. Ironically, he's going the same route as James Harrison. James Harrison,
free agent and fighting for a roster spot, potential future starter.
And if given the chance, like say, now I hope this doesn't happen because he's very talented. But let's say Bud Dupree gets injured or something happens to him,
or he's not progressing the way that we all anticipate and hopes, especially since he's at the comfortable position of where he is at outside linebacker.
Exactly. Maybe Oladeni comes up, maybe steals his job. Who knows? But he definitely has the talent, but we'll see what happens. Yep. But I think Oladeni is definitely deserving to make the 53, and I think he will. He'll be a very great rotational backup, possibly a good special teams player. So.
And the last outside linebacker, Keon Adams.
Yes, we think Keon Adams makes it as well. Steelers and Colbert are just very high on him, as are we. I don't think we should get rid of him yet. And he'll be another great rotational backup and special teams.
And quite frankly, I think Adams has been performing a lot better than Chickillo has, but I think the Steelers are going to keep Chickillo because of his experience with the team.
Right, and he's a good rotational backup himself. So.
Right, and again, if you let Keon Adams on the practice squad or let him go, that's too much of a loss because the guy's full of talent.
Exactly. And he has potential to be a 7th round
And you're
steal.
really going to need all the depth at linebacker, especially with the absence of Ryan Shazier. You're going to need all the help that you can really need.
Exactly, and you look at the outside linebacker position and the depth we have. That's a hell of a freaking linebacker position right there.
Absolutely.
So
now inside linebackers, Vince Williams, John Bostic, Tyler Matakavich, and this may surprise you guys, Matthew Thomas.
Matthew Thomas is completely deserving of making the roster. I know you guys are saying, where's LJ Fort? We are actually very impressed with LJ Fort, and he has performed very well and definitely has made noise to make the 53, but for some reason, and because of Thomas has really outperforming him, and the fact that Thomas deserves a spot, and Matakavich's experience and leadership at special teams, it's a little tough for LJ Fort to make the roster.
Right, exactly.
Now, yes, he's performed well, but you know, just based on what we said, it's a little tough for him.
Right.
You know, performance, you know, yes, but the factors that are in front of him, I don't know.
And plus, you got to think Matthew Thomas has, you know, very good speed. LJ Fort is a pretty decent, speedy guy, but he's not as fast as Thomas.
Of course.
And we're going to need that speed somehow.
Matthew Thomas is honestly the fast or the closest to speed-wise to Shazier at the inside linebacker position right now.
Exactly, and we're going to need to use that, especially going up against, you know, all the key offensive teams that we're going up against, like the Falcons and the Saints,
right, and
the Patriots.
Right, and we're not saying that he's going to step into the inside linebacker role, which honestly, we're predicting right now that he will eventually start at some point within the season, probably midway through the season, because he has potential in the depth and the starters that we currently have at the inside linebacker position are not impressive so far. And Matthew Thomas has been one of the most what the hell's the term? I'm having another brain fart. He's been one of the most burst players, I guess, of preseason.
Yeah, he has been.
So he definitely deserves to make the roster, and he could eventually move up into that starting role, which won't surprise me. And he'd be a great special teams player up until if he does get that role or get the opportunity to move up to that role.
Right.
So, and LJ Fort, yeah, like you said, we like him, but just because Thomas is outperforming him and his speed and the fact that he really deserves his spot and has really outperformed almost everyone at the inside linebacker position outside of Vince Williams. And Matakavich, you know, he has experience with this team and he's a great leader on special teams.
Exactly.
As he showed last year. So LJ Fort, he might be in a tough spot. So
yeah, right, but cornerbacks, Artie Burns, of course, Joe Hayden, of course, Mike Hilton, of course, Cameron Sutton, Brian Allen, and Cody Sensabaugh.
Yeah, it's no different than last year. It's the same thing. But it's a very good cornerback core right there, if you ask me.
Yeah, it is.
And Cameron Sutton's a great rotational backup. And if someone unfortunately gets injured, knock on wood, then
he's a guy that can definitely fill in and definitely help because he's a very talented corner.
Right, and Cody Sensabaugh, you know, he applies a veteranship and leadership into the locker room. So
yeah.
And Brian Allen, he'll probably be the 5th or 6th guy again, and he'll eventually develop and possibly take over Cody Sensabaugh's role next year.
Right, because Allen's still very raw, but he's got a lot of potential as well.
Absolutely. So, safety: Sean Davis, Morgan Burnett, Terrell Edmonds, Marcus Allen, and Nat Burhay.
5 safeties make the team, and I definitely think it's possible because with this new dollar formation, you know, that we've been trying out, we're going to need all the defensive backs we can get.
Absolutely, and with the versatility and the depth and the experience we have at secondary, and like you said, because we're gonna be running more dime and dollar schemes and dollar formations, we're definitely gonna want to put as many defensive backs on the roster and on the field as possible.
Exactly.
So that's why we overloaded a lot on the defensive back because we have Artie Burns, Joe Hayden, Mike Hilton, Cameron Sutton, Brian Allen, Cody Sensabaugh, Sean Davis, Morgan Burnett, Terrell Edmonds, Marcus Allen, and Nat Burhay. That's 11 fucking defensive backs.
Yeah, it is.
Holy shit. And like we said, you know, most of the defensive backs that we have are very versatile, so they can step in any role. So.
Exactly. And Marcus Allen and Terrell Edmonds, I definitely think they can take some reps at inside linebacker, which could really help with that position.
Exactly, which explains the dollar formation because we'll be running, we'll be running 2 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, or 3 linebackers, depending on who we put inside linebacker. So we could run 2 defensive linemen, we could run 3 linebackers, and 6 defensive backs. Or we could run 2 defensive linemen, 2 linebackers, and 7 defensive backs. One of the defensive backs possibly it's Romans or Marcus Allen, who both have experience inside linebacker, taking in or substituting for the inside linebacker position, which hopefully we see a lot more of. And like we said, because of the depth and the experience and the versatility that we have on our secondary, we're definitely going to want to overpopulate the defense back position.
Right, of course.
So
the special teams, just like last year, Chris Boswell. We think Jordan Berry could make the team. He is having a battle with Matt Weil, I think that's his name.
Yeah, but Matt Weil, he I haven't seen much from him. He'll make the roster somewhere else. I'm sure of it because he's still young. He does have a good foot, but.
Yeah, but I just think Jordan Berry's going to make the team because he has a good relationship and experience with Chris Boswell.
Of course.
Especially when it comes to extra points or field goals.
Right, he's a great placeholder for the ball. So.
Right, exactly. And, of course, long snapper Cameron Kennedy.
Right, so it's pretty simple, pretty obvious, but very good special teams clash right there. Honestly.
So that is the 53-man roster. Now time for the bonus, and that is who will make the practice squad for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And this is something that we've been talking about and thinking about for a while now, and this was actually pretty tough. So let's just get into it. Marcus Tucker, we think he makes it for the third straight year, specifically because he has shown signs of taking over Davis Hayward-Bay's duties at special teams.
Yeah, he has.
But because of Davis Hayward-Bay still being on there and who we have at the wide receiver position right now, he's not going to make it. But next year, after Davis Hayward-Bay possibly leaves, because he's out in a contract year himself, Marcus Tucker can take over his duties.
Exactly.
Right
Damon Patterson, no question about it. The guy's loaded with talent.
And he can take over Eli Rogers or Justin Hunter's spot next year.
Exactly. For his rookie year, I think it's just a little too early. But a year under his belt, I definitely think he can definitely upgrade and get better.
Of course.
Especially on the practice squad.
And imagine, because you look at what he's done this year, he really had a great game early on in preseason. So imagine with a year under his belt. Yeah. I mean, look at Dobbs. He didn't really have too strong of a preseason last year, but look what a year under his belt has done for him. He's done great.
Absolutely.
So imagine what Damon Patterson can do.
Exactly.
When he's performing good.
Exactly.
Shit, man. So seriously. Quadri Henderson. This is someone that we were high on, and because of the addition of Ryan Switzer, Henderson's opportunity of making the roster is very slim. But in my honest opinion, we like Quadri Henderson, but honestly, he needed a year or two under his belt anyway. And honestly, this is a trade in disguise for him because I like Henderson, but he hasn't really shown too much potential of being a good return specialist yet, because he definitely has the potential. He hasn't shown it yet. He needs to progress. He needs some experience. He needs to develop a little bit. And with him developing a year or two under the practice squad, he can be a great return specialist opposite of Ryan Switzer or Jalen Samuels. But let's say we get rid of Le'Veon Bell, James Conner moves up to the starting role, and Jalen Samuels is number 2. You put in Quadri Henderson alongside Switzer. Holy hell, that's a hell of a goddamn return specialist.
Absolutely, dude.
So,
our special teams will finally be fixed.
Exactly, which is something that we've lacked for over a decade now.
Right. Jordan Dangerfield. We definitely think this guy, he's been with the team for several years now. He's loaded with potential. He's a very good depth guy, but I just think that Nat Burhay is going to win the roster spot because he's more of a special teams guy.
Right.
He's more of a special teams leader than Dangerfield is.
Exactly, and we're going to need someone to replace Robert Golden, who was the special teams guy on our secondary last year, and obviously he's not with us. That's why we signed Nat Burhay, and that's where he's going to fit in nicely.
Exactly.
And he is one of the best special teams contributors in the league. So.
Right.
And Jordan Dangerfield next year, he could have the chance to make the roster, but we'll see what happens.
Right.
I always forget how to pronounce his name, but he's had a pretty good camp and a decent preseason, and he's definitely going to make the practice squad, no doubt. Farrington Huenian? I
think that's how you pronounce his name. Nonetheless, he's number 41 for the Steelers.
Yeah, he's a linebacker. And
he's a guy that could very well be nice depth, and he's not really a bad football player whatsoever.
No, not at all. So,
but with the other guys ahead of him, I just don't think he's going to make the roster. But practice squad, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And he could eventually progress as well. So,
yeah.
Joshua Frazier, we're high on him. We drafted him for a reason, specifically because Carl Dunbar is our defensive line coach, and he has experience with Frazier for the past 2 years. Him under the practice squad, he'll still learn from Frazier. He'll still learn from Dunbar. He'll still gain communication and could eventually take over that role that Dion McCullers currently possesses.
Right, exactly. Jarvian Franklin, the guy, he's a very talented running back. I was hoping we see a lot of him this preseason. So far, I haven't seen much.
But that's due to Fitzgerald, Toussaint, Stephen Ridley, and Jalen Samuels all fighting for number 3. So, of course, he didn't have too much of an opportunity. However, him signing to the practice squad, he has the potential next year with possibly Fitzgerald Toussaint leaving, maybe even Stephen Ridley as well. And honestly, I think Franklin has the potential to be another Terrell Watson for us.
He really could. He really could be. Like, he's a very talented back.
Right. So, and actually, speaking of Stephen Ridley, we actually think that we signed him to the practice squad just based on his experience and the fact that he has really done well for us.
Right. And Tomlin's a big fan of Stephen Ridley, but I just think with Jalen Samuels' versatility is that's going to be an advantage for Samuels to make the roster.
Right. But him signing to the practice squad, obviously we'll keep him with the team, and if something unfortunate were to happen to the running back position, he'll fit in well.
Right, of course.
And he'll be right
there. So
there.
he'll be smart. And Ridley's a pretty good running back.
Exactly, he is. So, but like you said, I just think, what the hell? We just think Samuels is going to make the roster over him.
Right.
Just based on his versatility and the way he's been performing. So.
Yeah. Malik Golden's got a lot of experience with the Steelers. A pretty good safety.
Yeah, and I'm getting a call. I'll call you back in a minute. I apologize. Whatever. Anyway, Malik Golden, I believe he went to Penn State. We grabbed him up, and he has performed pretty well. He has opened some eyes, and I think a year under his belt. He got some competition with Dangerfield and Burhay next year. So
right.
And of course, last one is Jamar Summers. He'll basically be a depth guy, and could develop to take over Sensabal's spot as well next year, possibly make the roster.
Right.
So anyway, guys, that's our 53-man roster. A prediction plus the practice squad. Let us know what you guys think in comments below. If you guys want, I know this is a hassle, but if you guys want, you can give us your 53-man roster prediction as well in the comments below, or at least partial of it, and give us your thoughts, and we'll create some dialogue and everything. So
and we will be making a reaction to when the Steelers officially announce their 53-man roster.
Absolutely. So look out for that, so that's really the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let us know what you guys think, and see you guys next video.
Like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you later.
Peace!